As Bitcoin took a hit due to the Chinese ban on Bitcoin mining, I thought it was only fair to provide you guys with a technical analysis on the price of Bitcoin, as it's really going to influence the rest of the crypto market and all the other coins across it. So let's jump in and take a look. How's it going, guys? Ryan here and welcome back to another crypto video, and today we're taking a look at a Bitcoin price chart, and we're doing this because obviously the overall crypto market has dropped quite significantly over the past couple of days, and this is heavily a result of Bitcoin dropping. As we all know, the market tends to follow Bitcoin, so I thought it's only fair to do some price analysis for you guys on Bitcoin itself. But before we get into that, guys, please remember to leave a thumbs up if you find the video helpful, as well as leave down in the comment section below your thoughts on where Bitcoin's going in the near future. And if you enjoy this sort of content, please remember to subscribe. We cover crypto, investing, stocks, and wealth management. So if that tickles your fancy, hit subscribe and turn on bell notifications. But without further ado, let's jump into the computer and have a look at the Bitcoin price chart. As always, guys, welcome into CoinSpot. If you want to buy Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, there's a link down in my description where you can sign up and get started straight away. But let's take a look at Bitcoin now. We're looking at the hourly price chart, and as you can see, there was quite a significant decline over the past few days. We went from about, on the hourly, a few days ago, let's say this was the last sort of, I suppose, peak, $49,000 Australian, dipped all the way down to $39,000 Australian, and now we're hovering at roughly the $46,000 mark. Now this is obviously the hourly chart. I just wanted to show you that obviously we've gone down quite significantly after we thought there was a bit of a recovery going on here. We have unfortunately seen a drop, which is heavily as a result of China banning cryptocurrency mining and really cracking down on it. It's obvious that when something like this is going to occur, it's going to severely impact the overall crypto market, but when it impacts Bitcoin, obviously the impacts are going to be felt, and they're going to be felt across the entire market due to this. But let's just jump out briefly to the daily chart, and we're going to perform our analysis of this chart. And as you can see, this drop occurred roughly about here over the past few days, but we didn't absolutely plummet, which is good news. In fact, we actually bounced. As you can see, we had much worse days in the past when it comes to, sell-offs. Look at the volume on this day, for instance. Absolutely ridiculous. This is certainly not one of the worst days we've experienced. Yeah, it's not great, but it's not the worst, as I say. Now, we're very fortunate because what seems to have occurred is our support has held out. And you can see that roughly at this point here, we bounced. And that was, as I mentioned, at 39,000 Australian dollars. But our support line is actually sitting, right about here. And we dipped, in my opinion, just below the key support point. I'm just going to make it bigger so we can see that a bit better. In my opinion, we dipped just below the key support point, but fortunately went back up. And the reason this is key support is because the price action that has occurred in the past at this point has been significant. And it's really acting for us as our safety net. Ideally, we don't want this to break. Now, unfortunately, what we are seeing right now, and I like to provide you guys with a real perspective. I don't like to be biased. But what we're seeing right now is potentially a head and shoulders pattern. It doesn't look, I suppose, significant in the sense of the shoulders aren't big, but we've got one shoulder here, we've got a head, and we've got a potential another shoulder forming here. Now that is going to be a reversal pattern, which means instead of going up, we're going down. That's how a head and shoulders pattern works. But in saying that, this is extending out quite well, and we keep bouncing off this support point. You can see that it's occurred multiple times. So on one hand, I can see that this pattern is forming, but on the other hand, it doesn't seem to be coming into fruition. Now I'm just going to grab this line, because what we are doing, which is decent, is we're within a trading range. So obviously, as I mentioned, the head and shoulders pattern's there, but both the shoulders are within a trading range. Oh, I thought I had a different tool there. Let's grab that. Obviously, we're trading within this range. It's a nice little channel. Now, what we don't want to see is a drop through that key support point at $39,000. If that occurs, then the pattern has been confirmed, and it means we're unfortunately probably going to decline roughly to the next level of support, and we're going to have to zoom out for this one because it was quite a while back, I believe. Yeah, zoom out, and as you can see, that was at $20,000 basically. This is from back in the day when Bitcoin first really had a good, pump and started moving. That is our next level of support. Yes, we do have a bit of price action that has occurred here, but if we want to look at historical levels, that is our point of support. So worst case scenario, if we break through here, hoping we don't, we go down to potentially 20,000 Australian dollars. Now, what is best case scenario for us right now? Well, I think it's pretty clear what we want to be doing again is testing this upper point here, and this upper point, our resistance point, is sitting at roughly 54,000 Australian dollars. So keep that number in the back of your head. That's what we want to be targeting right now. And I'm going to bring in some additional indicators. I like to use my moving averages, so I'm going to bring in a few of those. I'm actually going to bring in 3 this time because I think it will provide us with a bit better insight. I'm going to bring in our 20-day, which will be turquoise. I'm going to bring in our 50-day, which is going to be red. And I'm also going to bring in the 200-day, the real long-term moving average, right? This is the big one, so I'll leave that as purple. Let's just zoom in and see exactly what's happening. Well, what we can see is obviously not great. We've had a death cross up here, which was ages back, obviously. That was at the start of the decline, where our 20-day moving average crossed below our 50-day moving average. But what we've seen now is twofold. We've seen that same 20-day cross below the 200-day, which is not boding well. And we've also seen our 50-day cross below that 200 moving average, which is likely a lot of the cause of what's gone on here, apart from obviously when the news about China and the ban on mining came in. That had a lot of influence prior to that. The ban on mining was the big dump right around here, but we were already in a decline from that point. We bounced off our top resistance point, and obviously from a technical perspective, it's not great. What do we want to see? Well, as you can see, this 20-day moving average is starting to level out. We want to see that cross the 50-day. That is our first target. And the 50-day has just entered the trading channel, which means it is possible to happen. Don't lose hope. There is a possibility it could occur. If it was still hovering, up at around that point for whatever reason, I'd be like, probably not going to happen. But given that we've seen this level itself out, we want to hopefully see this start to, come down like this, and we start, moving in that sort of direction. That'll be a very positive indicator that we are going to start trending upwards. Second thing we want to see is obviously this point of resistance we tested. Hopefully broken. That is the aim. Obviously we want to break it, but it still needs to be tested regardless. Now, what we don't want to see is a cross occur again after, I suppose, positively crossing. So if we saw the short term go up, we got the 50-day right there, and this came straight back down, nah, it's not going to be pretty. And especially given the fact that it's not off, major volume. But I suppose one key thing to keep in mind is on this green day that's just occurred, It's probably been one of our biggest buying days apart from the 9th of June, which is indicating that there is still people who are seeing this as a fantastic opportunity. I mean, when we compare where we were to up here, you know, our peak, which was, you know, roughly double where we're at basically, it's cheap. And if you're a long-term investor in Bitcoin or any other cryptos that have solid fundamentals, you're likely going to be rewarded for entering at these prices. But one thing I always like to say is don't catch a falling knife. Now, one of the best ways to reduce your risk in doing that is to buy, I suppose, between this channel. So if you're really wanting to accumulate, watch this trend. It's pretty obvious. It's going up and down between this channel. Buy when it hits the bottom. That's your best opportunity to get in. If you're buying up here, you're going to immediately lose money and it's not going to feel very good. And it likely, unless we see this top point of resistance be broken, it's not going to move for a while. So just keep that in mind as well. Now let's also just take a look at the MACD, which has that's really indicating that we're going to basically do that, because the short-term average has crossed below the longer-term average. In saying that though, it's horizontal. It's evened out. It's not gone in this sort of a direction. It's not harsh. So in fact, I think this day is higher than that day. We might be seeing a genuine reversal from that point of view to test this point. Once again, that is still the target. We're testing that point. The MACD, not looking awful. So that is positive. Obviously, if we saw something like this, then yeah, we're going down. Because obviously it's dipped and it's dipped hard, but it looks like we've leveled out because we had a bounce in the value of Bitcoin. So that is positive. It's not all hope is lost here, guys. And I know a lot of the longer term Bitcoin investors will understand this. We've experienced this many times before at different price points. It looks a lot less significant, obviously, when, you know, we're looking at this and we went, oh, this was our previous high, you know, at $20,000 roughly Australian, and then bang, we went down. We dipped back down to 6,300. It's over a 50% loss from the peak. Right now, with the current peak that we're sitting at, which was 85, we've dropped all the way down to this point, which was the other day, which is 39,000 roughly. We're doing the same thing. We've just really got to make sure that obviously you're focusing on your strategy. If you're trading, as I mentioned, get in at the bottoms, trade the channel. When it bounces, sell there, whatever you're doing. If you're long term, you're long term. Don't catch the falling knife though, because at the end of the day, if you go all in and then the price plummets, you're stuffed. You're not happy. You're going to probably end up selling because you're upset with the investment. So what you want to do is accumulate slowly over time, average out those sorts of things. But as I say, don't catch a falling knife. We don't know where the bottom is. It's not clear. If we saw this, you know, start to go up like that, obviously the bottom's here. But until we start seeing lower lows and higher highs, we don't know where it is. So until that point, I would highly recommend you consider just watching the value before you make a decision on whether you want to buy or whether you want to, you know, average in those sorts of things as well. That wraps up today's technical analysis, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As I've said, all hope is not lost. You've just got to look at where we're sitting, the fundamental factors, look back to your strategy. Why did you get into Bitcoin? Are you just getting into it to become an overnight millionaire? Well, it's probably not going to occur at the moment. If you're looking long term, then you are in a decent position if you genuinely believe that Bitcoin and crypto in general is going to be a major part of society. You know, the overall target for Bitcoin is that 100k mark as like the next sort of threshold after we hit our previous high of 85,000. Is it possible? I believe it is so, but that's up to you to determine as an investor if you agree. I hope you enjoyed today, guys. Leave a thumbs up if you did and subscribe for more of this sort of content. I cover many other cryptocurrencies, perform technical analysis. I also speak about stocks, investing and wealth management in general. So if that interests you, hit subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and let me know down in the comments section below if you are a Bitcoin holder. But with that, guys, I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. Cheers.